It is 17 minutes past 5. Now it's been confirmed that a nurse has died at Carlisle's Cumberland Infirmary after contracting COVID-19. The hospital trust says the 49-year-old man from London worked at the Cumberland Infirmary for a short time last month and has been receiving critical care for a few weeks. His death follows the death of a radiographer at the Furnace General and a paramedic with the North West Ambulance Service. I'm listening to that is Mark Jenkinson, Conservative MP for Workington. We've just heard from the RCN there from Glenturp following the death of this nurse in Carlisle's Cumberland Infirmary. The lack of PPE, Glenturp says, is putting lives at risk. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, obviously, I want to echo the comments on sympathies with the family and loved ones of the nurse. That's sad news today. But I'm quite frankly disgusted that a union wants to politicise the issue of PPE.
Let me translate that for you. Jenky has no decent response to what he says are allegations that there isn't adequate PPE in the health service. So he's trying to deflect that question by complaining that the RCN is politicising the question. Well, let's just be clear. When the funding for our national NHS is determined by our politically elected members of Parliament and primarily by our politically elected government, we have no option but to criticise the politically elected government that is not doing what it's supposed to do. That's not politicising the issue. That's the NHS talking to its employer. So stop twining about this is politicising and answer the bloody question.
I am having daily conversations in Cumbria, across Cumbria, with colleagues, with the trusts, with partners in various organisations in the multi-agency support team about PPE.
You can have all the daily conversations you like, but the reality is all you are seeing is what government ministers have told you to say. It's transparent, it's obvious, we all know it. You might be maybe talking to people every day. Some of us are going to work every day.
PPE is arriving, it's here, we've got it in Cumbria. Any issues are being fed up directly to a ministerial level, and I would encourage anyone that has any issues with the supply of PPE to come through me, as I have been doing for a couple of weeks.
Hang on, Mark. On the one hand, you're saying that there are no problems, and on the other, you're saying that for the last few weeks, people have been flagging issues up to you that you've been escalating to ministerial level. Now, they can't both be true. Either there are no issues, or people are reporting issues to you. Which is which?
The fact is, there is this national narrative around PPE that doesn't fit what's happening, what we're told is happening on the front line.
The national narrative around PPE doesn't fit the government agenda. It doesn't fit your narrative. But that doesn't mean it's not true. We aren't here to tell lies. We are nurses, and we are working to do the job that our country asks us to do, that our communities ask us to do. You are leaving us underfunded, and how dare you? How dare you then say that we are lying when all we're doing is asking for the PPE that you and your government have a duty of care to provide? How dare you?
What's the reality then, if we're getting this story wrong?
Well, the fact is, as your man's just alluded to there, PPE is coming. It's not that people don't know when it's not going to turn up. It is coming when, on a just-in-time method of delivery, as you can imagine, when you go from 600 customers to 82,000, literally, virtually overnight. And we're moving to a model that people aren't used to, and there is some discomfort around that.
Discomfort. We've had an estimated 100 healthcare workers dying so far in UK Certainly 90 according to the government's own figures. And you talk about a certain amount of discomfort. Get real.
These are people's lives here. They need to have these equipment when they're going on the front line to help these people.
Just in time isn't the start of the shift, though, Adam. Just in time is, the day before, when we talk about just in time. So we know these deliveries are coming. We know they're coming. We know what's on them. Yes, there are sometimes issues, don't get me wrong, there are sometimes issues with what turns up against what we're expecting, or, a delivery is suddenly split in two, so you get enough for sort of 3 days and then another delivery. But these deliveries are coming.
So hang on, Mark. We know when they're coming. We know what's on them. But sometimes we only get half as much, and sometimes we get the wrong stuff, and there's a surprise about what's on the wagon. Which of these statements is true? Don't you realise how transparent your lies are?
A lot of the narrative around PPE isn't what's actually happening. A lot of it is, sadly, people politicising an issue. And when you talk about people's lives, that's absolutely right. No one should go to work without correct PPE. No one. We shouldn't expect anyone to do it. But to politicise people's lives like that is, quite frankly, it's irresponsible from a union such as the RCN.
Unions exist to look after their members. And you're saying it's irresponsible for a union to look after its members simply because the employer is the state and therefore politically managed? Do you know nothing about the realities of work?
He's sticking up for his members. That's what he's doing.
He's politicising a subject.
I disagree.
He's seeing a national narrative that he's able to capitalise on to attack a government that he doesn't like.
OK, let's be clear. Despite the fact that the National Health Service is run politically, because it's a state-owned organisation managed by the state for the people, the RCN has always been very proud. It has a very long and proud tradition of being non-political. Trust me, I know, I'm a member. But let's just assume that you're right, and this is being politicised. Well, what does that mean? It means that there is a debate to be had about the way that state funding, which comes from the people, is used for the benefit of the people. That's a political process. To say that we can't discuss it because it's political is actually fundamentally to misunderstand what political means. There's a principle. It's actually a principle that began in the United States, but I think it's very relevant in response to your comments here. No taxation without representation. That means we have a perfect right to comment as citizens and as employees on what's going on in our national NHS. It's a national institution. It was politically conceived by a Labour government in the 1940s, and it's been politically managed ever since, and it's being politically managed now. And if we have a problem with that, which we most certainly do, then it's fairly difficult to keep that out of the political arena, although the RCN does try. But to try to dismiss our concerns and call it disgusting that nurses and other members of the NHS family would get involved in politics. Well, don't we want a politically active society? Don't we want people involved in how the country's run? Or maybe you just want people to sit back and let you pat them on the heads and tell them everything will be all right. Well, I'm sorry, Mark, but we are very, very aware that under your lot, it's not.